Hello.
Welcome to episode 56 of the Movie Schmovie podcast.
Wow. We've come
That voice you just heard is Ronald. And that's John. And I'm Steve. And we're going to be talking about a lot of movies today. A lot of the big Christmas release films that came out either just before Christmas or right on Christmas.
Yep.
Which we've kind of been trying to get our asses into the theater to see. And the reason we decided to talk about three is because, you know, some of us saw some of us didn't see the others. So we're going to just catch them all and try to let you know what we thought of them. Are we going to talk with the one that I saw first, right?
Yeah.
I think it's probably one of the ones that I have the least to say about, and being the only one that saw it. I'm going to mention Les Mis. Tom Hooper's, I guess, telling of the classic Victor Hugo novel, the musical that most people are aware of. A lot of people probably have heard of it recently. Anne Hathaway is being talked about a lot because of her performance and with Oscar nominations, and the film in general has. But if anything in the movie beyond like the technical categories, like costume or set design, makeup, things like that, I probably would say she's the only conversation that I would really have with the movie.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, that seems to be the main thing that people are talking about in a positive light.
Yeah, I think she, whether you like her or not, and a lot of friends that I talked to about it, and even that I saw it with, it's like half and half. I wasn't even aware of this. Like some people like find her really annoying and just don't like Anne Hathaway, which I actually love her. I think she's super entertaining, and I can see her on Funny or Die, like cussing with Sam Jackson and just having a blast. And then I can see her like on 2020 having like a really serious interview. Like that balance, I think is really interesting.
She strikes me as a pretentious person.
I don't disagree with that.
Kind of heady, like...
I was going to say, she reminds me of kind of, in the best and worst way, sort of like a theater girl.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, when you know, usually that comes with a lot of talent and a lot of, like, ability to kind of control how they come off.
She plays Fantine in the film, and I don't know, like, I think her musical numbers, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, if you saw her host the Oscars, again, I say she's super entertaining. And she has a really good voice. I mean, and her musical numbers are some of the highlights of the film. I would say Hugh Jackman, actually, again, same conversation, I'd say. I really like Hugh Jackman in general. I think he's really entertaining. And I actually think he's really, really good in the movie. I don't think it's like an award caliber thing.
Did they show his Hugh Jackman?
I might have blinked. I'm not sure. But I almost feel like you were kind of mentioning before we started recording that, like the word part of it is about Tom Hooper's direction is maybe it was over directed a little bit, and that some of the moments that maybe the characters could have went a little further with. I think he probably is one of the characters that suffers most from it in the film, because I was really engaged by him the whole time, even at moments where I almost got annoyed by the scene that he may have been in or the number that he was in, and I think that's more of a conversation towards the directing of the film more so than his performance. Some of the musical numbers are fun.
Were you a fan of the material coming into it?
Yeah, I was. I mean, you know, and I haven't seen the musical on Broadway or anything, but I've seen versions of it here in Baltimore throughout my life. And I mean, you know, I've seen other versions of the film, not to say that I've ever been a huge fan of any of the film versions. Yeah. And I would say this holds true with this one. I think overall I was pretty underwhelmed with it. I did not like it. I wouldn't say that I regretted seeing it or wouldn't really recommend it to people, because some people that are really big fans of it probably would still really enjoy it. My biggest gripe, hands down, of the film is Russell Crowe. Mentioning Anne Hathaway's, you know, vocal talents, Hugh Jackman as well, Amanda Seyfried, Eddie Redmayne, like basically everybody else in the movie. Pretty impressive, and Russell Crowe not at all.
Not
like it felt like he was like the jock that tried out for the school musical kind of thing.
I dare you to say that to his face.
Never.
Right.
If a telephone is near, I will not say that to him.
I think through what you're saying and watching Man with the Iron Fist, he kind of dials it in sometimes. It's weird. It's
I love Russell Crowe.
I think he's great, but there's something about...
I think that in this, it always seemed a little odd, but then I thought, doesn't he have like he's got like a folk rock band.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He's got like
I thought, well, he's got
like 30 feet of grunt or 30 men of grunt.
Yeah,
whatever.
30 odd foot of grunts.
There
I think is what it's called. But either way, it's
you have the CD, don't you?
It's one of those. Well, on vinyl, got the limited edition. The thing about that, his music career always kind of struck me as of a piece with like Billy Bob Thornton's music career, which is just maybe there's some legitimate talent there. I mean, clearly, if you write songs and you play enough chords to front a band, you've got a certain base level of musical talent.
Right.
but there's a lot you can get away with in a rock band that maybe is not going to serve you in a musical, where the technical requirements are a lot
of solos
higher. Yeah,
the music can kind of.
But I was willing to believe that because he's a talented actor that he would be able to bring something to it. But everybody has said he was miscast.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's just weird though, because as soon as like the first musical number that he's in with Hugh Jackman, it actually was uncomfortable for me, like right away. Like, because it's just his voice does not fit at all. Like, you know, it's got a grit to it, you know, like that rock, you know, you were just mentioning like that rock sound to it almost.
Yeah.
And you know, and you can tell that it sounds like he's almost talking the lines at times when he really can't match the tone or the, you know, what is required of that line. And like, especially like reading more into, you know, this coverage about how a lot of the vocal scenes were actually filmed live when the director was making the film. Like
I was going to ask, did that add anything or?
I think it did actually, but I mean, with him, I would never believe like I mean, you know that in post-production they go in and touch all this stuff up and whatnot. But I mean, I would feel like with him, there's like no way he's sang live. Like,
did you know about that aspect?
It just looks very odd.
Well, like instead of having typically when you have a movie musical, you have the pre-recorded vocals piped in and everyone's lip syncing.
Right.
But in this, the understanding I have is that the vocal performances you're hearing in the film were actually acted on the set at the time. Wow. So it was all sort of acted and performed as though they were doing it on a stage.
In that moment, right.
You know, so I mean, and obviously, as Steve said,
it takes a lot of talent.
I'm sure they're still going in and fixing a few things and tweaking it.
No, it definitely adds to the film, I think, in the, you know, the emotion you see, you know, the physical body, you know, how they're moving their bodies. It doesn't look like a lip sync, you know what I mean? Like, there's a couple numbers, especially like with Hugh Jackman, I think is, you know, you can tell that he is like just belting this song out. His eyes are, you know, not just crying, but like, you know, he's like hitting these notes or trying to, whether or not, you know, it's the recording that we hear. But just in that, I think that aspect was pretty cool. And like, I picked up on that and I read about that beforehand. And I was really looking for it. But even if you didn't know it, I think you could tell that, you know, the performances are actually pretty solid, with the exception of Russell Crowe. I mean,
so was he just like a bad singer, or was it like a bad acting job as well?
I think he
just not right.
The majority of it was the vocals, like the singing, but I think that affected so much of his performance, for me at least, that I couldn't get past him in that character at all. You know, as Javert, I just couldn't believe it. You know, I couldn't align with him, or I basically just wrote him off like after the first 30 minutes of the movie, as in like, okay, that's just wrong with this film. Let me just try to look for what's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, like the vocal, like I didn't, you know, something like Amanda Seyfried. Yeah, I know she was in like Mamma Mia or whatever, and she's singing that. But I mean, she like actually has a really pretty voice, and so does the guy Eddie Redmayne who plays Marius. Just, I mean, overall, the vocals and everything, the musical piece of this experience was pretty good in my opinion. But my biggest issue was probably over directing at times, and I don't know that this is the kind of thing that's probably made for like an audience that's probably going to eat it up, you know, like the musical crowd. But I don't think that means automatically that it's.
How did it look?
I mean, like I said earlier, I mean, like the production value, you know, is definitely there. I mean, the costumes, the cinematography is pretty good. I mean, it's not anything that blew me away, you know. Some scenes actually feel like they get dragged out a lot, like songs going on longer than I remember them going on, or even crossing into other songs. But I don't know. I will note that I seem to be in the minority of like the people that I went with to see the film. Maybe my expectations were a little too high, but most people I was with actually did enjoy it, and I would say that I would say I still liked it. If I was going to give it a number, I don't think I'd give it anything over like a 7 or 7.5, maybe, for Anne Hathaway and Hugh Jackman, who I really like their performances.
Right.
But
so even the kind of over direction didn't sink it for you.
It didn't sink it. Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's like crap. You know, I wouldn't say it's like a D-worthy film or like you know a 2-star movie in my opinion. But it's not a movie that I probably would seek out again, or look to own or anything like that. It's like I experienced it, I saw it. I'll get what the buzz is about when the award season comes around, and that's pretty much all it is for me.
So I don't know much about the story, but who played Les Miserables?
I think that would actually be referring to the majority of the cast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a lot of depression and sadness. There's not a whole lot of bright spots in this movie at all. But yeah, that's actually in the credits. It's like the miserable.
Yeah.
Entire cast.
Okay.
It's in the bottom of it. You know.
Gotcha.
For those not familiar with it. But that's all I got to say about Les Mis.
Oh, okay, cool.
Are you
Disappointed,
Les
disappointed,
Mis.
but
Are either of you pro against musicals?
I love musicals.
I'm all about
I like
it.
Durant.
Yeah.
Across the Universe.
I'd probably say Moulin Rouge is probably one of my
Hairspray.
favorites.
I don't
Hairspray is
see a
my
lot of
favorite
them,
one ever.
but in theory, I see it as just one more thing you have in the movie tool bag. Is that like,
barrel,
a way to? There's certain movies where you show kind of the extremes of human behavior through having people get killed, or through showing them on a different world, or through showing them,
I count Team
with
America,
the
too.
utter realism that you can achieve. And then sometimes the notion of like song breaking into song. I don't know. I feel like I like the idea of movies that both play with that in a concept way of saying like, well, what's going on here? How are these people, like the way the Muppet movie, even the way they had the songs kind of commenting on the form. But I also think just a good old fashioned, musical can really hit the spot sometimes. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about the genre. I remember loving Chicago, the more recent version of Chicago, Moulin Rouge. I was a big fan of. Across the Universe, like Ronald said, I thought were all pretty great. All soundtracks that I own as well.
Like do you count those like Nightmare Before Christmas?
yeah, I would
absolutely.
count Nightmare Before Christmas for certain, because even more so than the usual animated movie with songs sprinkled into it, I felt like that one, the songs were a part of the songs moved the story
storytelling,
forward.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I'm trying to think of some of my favorites. Actually, another one that I would put in that category is South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. I mean, in the sense that definitely it's kind of making fun of a Disney musical specifically, but it's also trying its best to have memorable songs with some of those songs I could probably sing at the drop of a hat.
Ronald mentioned Team America. I would
Team
say the same
America.
thing.
Team America's not a bad idea.
Uncle Fucker is one of my favorite songs.
It's so funny that you would say that, because I mentally made a list of like some of my favorite musical moments before we were going to talk about Les Mis, and that was one I put on the list, was that song, because not only was it like it's a perfect pastiche of that type of musical song, but it's also just ridiculously hilarious. The first time you see that,
Yes.
and the first time you saw it, I hope you were in a crowded theater, because it was maximum impact. That was a gut buster. That
I
was
love
great.
after they finish the song, they're like, Uncle Fucker, yeah, suck my balls.
Yeah.
That tag on the end.
It's so weird. That movie was so funny, man. Oh,
But it also, Trey Parker
Absolutely.
clearly is a fan of musicals.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
every time he's done any kind of musical thing, it's always. I mean, clearly they've had a success on Broadway.
I've gone to see Book of Mormon.
you saw it?
It's
I've heard
incredible.
songs.
It's hilarious. The music is awesome.
really.
Oh my god, it's great.
So I mean, there's a guy who clearly
He gets it. Yeah,
he totally gets it and takes it seriously. So
Yeah.
I think that with the right approach, there's nothing inherently corny about musicals.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely a fan. Just didn't love this one as much as I hoped I would.
Right.
I was worried when I didn't see it popping up. I've been compiling my lists of top 10s, like from the industry, reading different sites that we all go to, or blogs or papers, and I was actually really surprised with the lack of mention that I have seen for it on any or on many. I mean, it's been on some, but those that it has been on, with the exception of maybe one or two, it's been towards the bottom of these top 10 lists if it's barely making it, and it definitely won't be on mine.
You hear that, fans of Les Mis the movie? You got to mobilize if you want to really push this thing. If it's one of those things
Get to
where
the theater.
right. Well, if you want to see it on a top 10 list, you got to write it yourself.
Yeah, there you go.
So
If you want me to see it on the top 10 list, which would put it in a better light, just go make a blog,
yeah,
see it, and just rave about it.
this might be the podcast that launched that launched
The lounge.
that launched 1,000 blogs.
Launch.
Right.
Who knows? And I'll take credit for them all.
Yeah.
So next we're going to talk about Jack Reacher, right?
Yep.
Jack Reacher around.
Reacher round. I like that.
Now that it's
I admire that.
Now that it's like a week after the movie came out, though, we have now missed the boat on beating anyone else to the all the masturbation jokes that can be made just about the title of this film.
Right.
You got your jack off reacher, you got your jack off reach around.
I enjoy those titles.
I just wanted to get the highbrow stuff out of the way first before we really
Before we
dig
start
into this.
Getting into it. Christopher McQuarrie directed. Guy did Way of the Gun. Incredible movie.
And probably most significantly in my mind, wrote the screenplay for Usual Suspects.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, incredible movie.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that movie. I don't know
Did you
why.
just experience a Reacher round? That was awkward for a moment. I was like, what happened?
It's a good movie. It kind of hit me suddenly when you said that. I was like, okay. Yeah, that is a good movie. But directing wise, he has not done much.
Well,
Yeah.
did he do Valkyrie? Was that him?
No, Bryan Singer.
He produced it.
Oh, he wrote it.
Yeah, wrote it as well.
So he wrote Valkyrie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is definitely kind of part of a
12-year hiatus, man.
seems to be a relationship with Tom Cruise too, because I know that I've heard his name batted around for the next Mission Impossible film as well.
Yep.
And it doesn't look like they'll need to free him up from any future Jack Reacher films, I would say.
Right.
So yeah, as a franchise starter, do you think this fizzles, or do you think it goes?
Man, I think in 94,
You beat me to it.
this would have been the movie. It would have. It's
the best action movie of the 90s that you never saw.
Didn't Ronald say just a couple of weeks ago what happened to all the action films? And then he said,
right.
I turned to him and said that to him during the movie. I was like, here's your action movie that you've been missing.
Like those that they used to make in the 90s, he said. And then they made one.
Relentless hero, no obstacles, really.
It was like every Jean-Claude Van Damme film that I loved in the 90s. JCVD.
I saw a lot of familiar elements in that that aspect of the character. I think that this was an attempt to give Tom Cruise kind of a Taken.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The sort of the efficient badass who's coming for you, and if you're a bad guy who gets in his way, it's like that's your problem. Now you got Jack Reacher to deal with, you know. Yeah. And I love the sort of behind the scenes conversation that must have happened at some point when Tom Cruise got wind of a project where the lead character was he's the smartest guy in the room, he's the toughest guy in the room, he's the deadliest guy in the room. Yeah. He always knows the angles. You can't get the drop on him. He doesn't care about anybody, but he cares just enough to do the right thing.
Yep.
And for him to be like, yeah, I could play that guy. I mean, I just love the notion of a movie that is basically a hand job to the character. Yeah. You know, like it's all about how awesome this guy is. And Tom Cruise, of course, wants to play that guy. And of course, he's going to produce a movie about himself being the coolest guy ever.
Absolutely. I think when he did it, he was like, look, if I'm going to do this, you have to give me one scene where I'm with a prostitute that's putting her bra back on and I'm sitting in bed. That part was so weird. So
you got to show the moment that just indicates that when he's not kicking ass and being the coolest guy in a caper.
Yeah.
He's got like the hottest prostitute in the world in his hotel room.
He's pulverizing her, and he does not. He doesn't really care about her, but
he's nice.
Yeah,
he's not a bad guy.
That's what we like about Jack Reacher. So he comes into the situation, right? There's a murder.
Yeah,
there's a murder.
Well, the opening stretch of the movie. Let's talk a little bit about that opening sequence.
Oh, so good, so intense.
I was a big fan. Yeah, I like the sight through the sniper scope. Like, you know, you kind of see the tendency of a trained professional, like as he's scoping out like his path to attaining whatever his objective was. And
the moment we're talking about, there's an opening scene where, and it's also that it's well shot, and it's shot in a way that like it's very effective, kind of mysterious,
Call of Duty-esque
setting up. Well, I mean, it was like Steve said, you see the sight kind of darting through and focusing in on different people, and then you realize after that he's lining up this spree that he's going on. And I think that it's worth mentioning in recent history, especially because a lot of people are suggesting that maybe the box office for this movie was hurt by the people with recent events in our country with the Newtown massacre, that maybe people aren't wanting to rush off to a theater to see an even slightly similar story unfold on screen. Now, I don't know how most audiences would have known about that, but it was bad luck for this movie to come out like in the midst of all that.
I think
where gun violence of any kind is going to be
under
viewed
a microscope,
harshly, right?
And under a lot of scope.
I just think we just function in a pussified sort of culture.
I don't know how pussified that makes you, though, if you don't want to look at that right now.
It's perfectly all right, but we're connecting things that aren't connected sometimes. That's the part that bothers me.
Yeah. Right. As far as the cause and effect goes.
If there were a scene where like a guy goes into a school and kills him, I'd be like, man, that's rough. If he goes into elementary school, very closely related. But they're just saying at this point, any gun violence.
Well, I think it's at the moment when people are saying, have we gone too far? Then you look at something and you go, is this a symptom? Now, again, I don't think the violence in this movie was particularly shocking to me. I mean, I think that the most shocking suggestion in it, there's one point where there's a suggestion that this sniper is about to shoot a kid, and I think that caused audible gasps in the audience, especially from the woman sitting next to me who couldn't shut up the whole time.
Your new best friend?
Yeah, my new best friend.
Yeah.
If
You're Percy.
I've decided she's Peg. If I see her again, I'm going to call her Peg.
Peg.
But she actually, when it looked like the guy was going to shoot a little girl in this movie, she actually went, no.
Wait,
Like,
did you record her, or was that you? That was good, man.
That was really good.
But I was just like, oh God, it was just like, she let me know early that she was going to be loud and that she was going to be vocal. And then she was very vocal. And then here's the, what is your one hope? If you know that the person who's talking nonstop through the movie and ruining it for you, if you know that they're with a large group, what is your heart's desire?
That the other person in the group tells them to shut the hell up.
That someone who knows them will tell them to hush.
Yeah.
Or someone slips them a roofie or a sleeping pill.
I'm going to say like, no. And then you be like her daughter who was sitting a few people down and you just try to politely shush me. Okay. So I'm going to say, oh, no.
Mom,
You shut up.
Ugh.
That's what she did.
Oh, I'm used to this.
Yes, exactly.
20 years
and the
of
daughter
this.
did kind of go, well, I did my part. You know, she was like, well, everyone heard me try to stop her. But the daughter totally
I'm innocent
backed
here,
down.
okay?
But at that moment, I was just like, that was about halfway into the movie, and I thought, oh God, there's no stopping her now. She didn't even listen to
Runaway train, John.
the known person couldn't get close to her, you know? That's like if you've got a jumper on the side of a building and you bring their wife down there to say, no, don't jump, and that still doesn't stop them. You know,
He's
like,
gonna
what can
kill
you do now?
himself at this point.
Yeah. Except if this woman had been wanting to jump, there were points during this movie where I would have said, if you're
It make the most sense.
if you're going to jump quietly, then jump. But back to the film.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good point that you mentioned about, like, I guess, recent events. But I guess my big thing is, I guess, having the option to go or not go is the fact that this movie still came out, like, there was controversy, like, the premiere got canceled, you know, in Pittsburgh, where they were having this big gala premiere because that's where the movie was filmed.
Yeah.
You know, to kind of like thank the city and everything, and it got canceled in light of the event, which is, you know, whatever. Like, that's a whole different conversation. And that's
more about the question of a press event.
Yeah,
at a time where there are more serious matters going on. I feel like that actually shows a certain amount of taste and decorum.
Yeah, but I
up to
mean,
a point.
at the same time, it's like a press event for a movie. So let's take that out of the equation and let the media cover more of the Newtowns, you know, of this horrible tragedy, and continue to talk about it,
right?
You know, and to talk about things that may have nothing to do with it.
I agree with you in terms
like
of the specifics, but I feel like as far as when a company decides to say, while you've got like still there's news hitting, and there still is, but at that time especially there was still news about the shootings. You don't want next to that to be you on the red carpet with a big ear to ear grin. You know what I mean? I think that's what it is. They're trying to avoid a kind of publicity that could make them look detached and kind of shallow at a time where people are thinking about more serious things. But I agree with you in the sense of I think it's great that they didn't push anything back. I think, you know, just let it come out. However, it may have been worse for it that it came out when it did because, you know, but that's another question. How much do you think there was an audience for this movie? I mean, I know Tom Cruise comes with a certain amount of a fan base, but clearly he can have movies that tank.
Sure.
So like, what is the wisdom of making this kind of retro? Admittedly, I think we all sort of enjoyed bits of it, didn't we?
I did.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was efficiently done, and I felt like there were a couple of really cool fight scenes. And
I mean, I'd probably watch the movie again. I mean, I don't really have a ton of positive things to say about it, because in today's what we're looking for in films, or like what you expect from a certain movie like this, even if you're comparing it to like his version or his opportunity at a Taken franchise. Yeah. You know, like it's not.
He gets to tell a guy on the phone that he's coming for him. That's the
link.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just there's nothing to rave about. There's nothing to be too excited about.
It's not bad. That's the thing. It's not terrible.
You were laughing a lot.
Yeah. I think what was happening was like the tone of this movie was really like. The dialogue in the first act was hard to digest as a person. Seeing so many movies that were just
as a person,
seeing so many movies were just that had pretty good storylines and really good dialogue. Just hearing just how it was unfolding on screen was just like, how are we going to stop them? You know what we have to do. That's kind of like it's just very like. Yeah, that's why I felt like it was from the early 90s.
Well, I remember you were suggesting, and
you don't believe it. I think it's...
Ronald was suggesting after we saw this that there was a certain amount of deliberate cheese on the part of this movie. I don't think it was deliberate cheese. However, I do think they were deliberately trying... I think there were some attempts made to say, let's make sure there's like hand-to-hand combat in this. Let's make sure when we have a car chase that it's not a crazy, unbelievable car chase. that it's sort of a physically possible car chase. I mean, I like the fact that it was retro in those ways, in that like really the climactic moment of the movie is a fist fight between two guys in the rain. You know, it's not, it doesn't try to top every action movie ever. And I think in that I was actually able to kind of enjoy the highly implausible alpha male fantasy that this movie projected. Is this the first time he's played this kind of a badass though? Like this level of like almost like a character, almost like a character.
Yeah, I was gonna say Collateral. He was that type.
But
of guy.
in that he was not a
likable.
Well,
badass.
He was so evil.
That's interesting, yeah, because I was thinking about what role was closest to this one, and Collateral may be the one, even though in that character he was like played such a nasty guy. But I don't know. I felt like they even used his size. A lot of people who are fans of the books these were based on were complaining that Tom Cruise was miscast because the character in the book is supposed to be like 6'5" and like 300 pounds of muscle. But I thought the way the movie used his size was almost effective, because there were scenes where you really thought, okay, how is he going to get the drop on these guys who are, you know, that pretty much all of them are bigger than him.
Right.
They almost used it. I mean, even the woman in the movie is like a foot taller than him. And they don't really try to hide it that much. So like, I don't know. In that sense, I felt like maybe there was a little bit of self-awareness and then trying to make him sort of look sort of unlikely, but still be this badass. But there really was not much. There really weren't that many levels to this movie at all.
No.
Like, it's all pretty much just cool CIA guy kicks the bad guys' asses.
Two things I don't like about this movie: the corny callbacks to things that were mentioned earlier, like the serial number thing. You remember, like the serial number? Where
What's the serial number of the gun?
What's the serial number of the gun? He didn't answer it. He's like 59654.
No, I liked in the moment.
That's how I knew it was you.
It's like, what?
I liked in the moment when he asked him about the serial number and he just hit the guy back with another question he should have known the answer to.
Like,
I thought that was kind of funny and smart. But then when he turns out to have actually known, that's when I was like, okay, now he really is like Superman.
He is. He mentions it.
He's got a photographic memory on top of everything else.
Like it's like, and then so one thing I wanted to say about this movie is this. I'm not saying this to insult the movie.
Go ahead and insult the movie.
It is a DVD movie. It's a movie that's going to do. It's not a straight to DVD.
It's not even a DVD. It's a VHS movie.
It's going to do better on DVD.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to do better on DVD than in Blu-ray.
I agree with you. Absolutely.
Is in movies. Just because I don't think people are willing necessarily to go out and pay for this sort of movie in the same way. They'll rent it. They'll watch it with a group of friends, but I don't know if everybody's willing to see this style of movie anymore in the movies.
I was going.
They'll red box the shit out of it though, but I don't.
I was sitting down to watch it and it wasn't on my radar.
No,
you know what I mean. So it's like I can only imagine to someone who's not sort of feeling like, oh, let's go see a movie. I don't know that this is the movie you would choose at all right now. But there's so many things out at the moment. 3 a.m. with your significant other in some sweatpants in front of a 7-Eleven and you're pressing the red box. Yeah. You're like, oh, okay, Jack Reed. Yeah, that was a movie that I missed. It's got the Werner Herzog's the bad guy in this. It's got that factor going for it. But yeah, back to the thing that was most effective, like the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie suggested almost a different type of film, because if you'll remember after the shooting at the beginning, there's this sequence where they're apprehending the shooter or the person that they believe to be the shooter. Mm-hmm. And it's all done relatively soundlessly with just music. And it was like a montage. It was a really cool, like the opening of the movie was really like, I started to get my hopes up. And then with the introduction of this totally implausible CIA badass character. Yeah. And everyone's so impressed at his record. He's able to disappear from, he's off the grid. Nobody knows when he might pop up. And then he's here to see him or whatever. That stuff was also corny. It's very corny. Really immediately let you know what kind of movie you were in. The fact that it was done in an office. Yeah. And it does what the bosses always do, where they throw down the file. Yeah. This guy has been missing for 10 years. He's a tough badass. It's that for the first act. And I thought that was really cool. It's funny that you mentioned the throwing down of the file, because one of the things I wrote down in my notes was Richard Jenkins whipping off his glasses and throwing them down. Like, I'm done reading. Now let's talk about this guy. But yeah, no, everything was kind of out of the rule book in that sense. And that does, and even though I know that I sort of disagreed with you that there was anything deliberately kind of satirical going on, it really does seem like they hit all the beats of the 90s action movie, like without a doubt. Like, can we talk about the co-star, Rosamund Pike? I saw this conversation going there at some point. Let me explain how this movie is going to affect you guys if you go see it. First act, she's fairly attractive, hair's up. You're ignoring her. Second act, a little bit of a V cut
shirt, and then Boobies, man. She looked. She's so I like
boobies,
and I like really kind of off the beaten path sort of women. Like I don't know. I don't like purposefully hot women placed in these positions.
Yeah, you like the outside chance, like the 6 foot tall blonde with the giant tits.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd like the challenge.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I was
Not,
kind of
you don't go for the easy favorite.
She doesn't have conventional. I don't know. Like I'm looking at her profile. I'm like, I wouldn't go for her. And then I see her in action and her attitude. And
see her in action. I think that's a sign of the movie's appeal too. Is that as it goes along, you realize what kind of movie you're watching, and you have more time to notice things. Like, oh well, what am I looking for? What's going to be the entertainment value of this next scene?
That's true. And the corny sexual tension between the two of them.
I mean, bottom line, I had a little fun with the movie. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah,
like, I kind of did like it. My buddy and I were talking about it on the way home. You know, something I would totally catch on TV or pop in to watch like on an afternoon.
Great HBO movie, right?
Absolutely. And it's kind of weird to me that, I mean, something else to note though, like I don't think there's as much in this film in terms of sacrifice or risk from a production or studio. I mean, you think about Tom Cruise, like I don't ever think of Tom Cruise putting out a $60 million movie that, budget wise.
Yeah.
The movie hasn't made that much money now. It'll probably make its money back. And when it finds maybe a second life on DVD, it'll not be a failure, but like, I don't think it's going to be the launch of a franchise for Tom Cruise or for the whole Jack Reacher series, like One Shot's the book that this is based off of, Lee Child's novels. But I mean, I don't think it's going to succeed in that realm. But I think I don't know. I kind of had fun with it. Weird though. I know that we talked about the cinema score rating before, cinema score ratings.
It's highly rated.
It's got like an A- to A+.
Highly rated everywhere.
And it's fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. So we're not talking about a bad movie.
It's
you have to be aware of what it is. And I think you'd probably enjoy it more than going in and thinking that it's like a Taken or.
I think if I had rated it the second I walked out of it, I might have given it a higher rating than I would give it now, just because of the entertainment value of it.
What would you have given it?
I probably would have given it like a solid B coming out of it. Like I would have said, and which means maybe it's an A for what it was trying to do. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't think, I think that as flawed and as kind of, and not even flawed. It's like, it's not that, maybe that's it. It's not that it's flawed. It's just that it's kind of shallow. It's not, like you said, it's not going for that much. What it does, there's a cool car chase. There's a couple of cool fights. There's a really cool fight scene in a bathroom that is like maybe the biggest laugh, but it's just like, it uses the physical space that it's in for the violence. I think that like the fact that Tom Cruise likes to do stunts, I felt that energy in the movie. I felt like there was there were well choreographed fight scenes, and I don't know. Overall, it was efficient. I kept of the things that are kind of like eye roll worthy about it. Those are things that you would roll your eye at about almost any action movie, really. And it's in the sense that it's like maybe what we're all kind of getting at with this whole calling it a '90s throwback is that it just doesn't have that extra layer that so many movies add that it doesn't always work anyway.
Right.
So in a way, by keeping it simple, I think it got in under my defenses to some extent. Like I came out of it kind of going, it really was okay, and it is exactly the definition of a movie you would rent and feel quite fine with.
I think it's because our standards for movies are pretty high, and I think it's okay to relax a little bit and enjoy something that's not the deepest, most layered movie.
I agree. That's a perfect way to put it.
This is going to sound like a terrible pun, but I don't mean it this way. It honestly didn't reach for anything outside. So many of these movies we talk about their ambition and how they failed doing this, and how there's this political subtext, and did that really work, or did this movie didn't try to do anything like that was outside of the story. And sometimes that's and
you leave this kind of movie like you don't
enjoyable.
Or at least maybe this was just me, but like you're like still like, what actually was even the
what happened?
What actually was the bad thing that was happening?
Yeah.
What was the motivation for anything? You're like, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, which of these
like,
characters that I didn't care about was in trouble? Right?
Yeah, like what was the whole point? I don't know. Like Jack Reacher beat people up, and Rosamund Pike gradually revealed her breasts.
but not all the way.
I'm there,
He did not have there was no point in the movie where I felt like his physical safety was in danger.
Yeah,
I also love that he ran away from stuff sometimes. I kind of like that. I kind of like that he didn't run towards everything like, I'm invincible. He hid, he ran.
Or he wait out the moment to see what the angle
I thought that was really cool.
The famous scene that's in the trailer, I guess famous to me because it was in the commercial. And it was a big hit with the audience, you could tell, where he gets out of the car and it rolls down the road, and then he kind of blends in with the crowd. what was that crowd really thinking? Because I thought about that. It's like, that's a cool moment, and it's sort of a we all hate the cops, right, kind of moment.
Yeah.
But when you really think about it, they could have all turned on the news later to find out that this guy had just shot up a school.
Right. Mass murder.
Or, like, been responsible for planning a bomb. I mean, it's sort of like...
He could have been Brody from Homeland.
Yeah.
He could have been, like, they just accepted it. I mean, that's...
Now, if it was Brody's the kind of terrorist you could have over for dinner.
That's true. That's true.
He could have been like Nazir.
And then he's talking through that little hole he calls a mouth. It's really crazy how he speaks through that hole. Like,
You've jumped to Brody now.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Much like Tom Cruise.
Leave Damian Lewis and his tiny mouth alone for at least another year.
Very tiny, his mouth. But yeah, Tom Cruise.
Also very tiny.
Also very tiny man.
That's all.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
The Planet of the Apes black dude, that sounded really weird. Whoa.
Wow.
You ever have the black
Just
dude?
roll? Just roll over the place? Wow. You're like a walking...
He didn't make himself
Wow,
I'm
dude.
losing it. The black guy that was in Planet of the Apes. The guy that was funding the science project.
Was that the same actor?
That's the same actor.
I thought he was really good in this.
He's really good in it.
David Oyelowo.
Like, in the
Yeah.
sense that when he started off...
He was in Lincoln, too.
You know...
He was.
Oh, yeah.
He walked away while he was finishing his speech, which I think is weird to this day. I just want to start talking to somebody and walk away and have my voice fade.
You know, one day we ought to talk about our favorite list of things that people do in movies that no one does in real life, because that is one of them.
That's one of the
Walking away
weirdest
while you're talking to somebody is one. Another one is turning off the television the second the piece of information you were looking for is described.
Yes.
You know, what if that newscaster were to say, however, we have new information?
All right, so Jack Reacher, I would say it's fun. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like Ronald said right at the beginning. It's like a movie you feel like came out in the '90s, action.
Yeah.
You can have some laughs at it and
If we were on the
be
see it,
impressed by some of the action pieces.
if it was like see it, rent it, or skip it, I would say we all put this in rent it, right?
yeah, I'd say that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, Jack Reacher.
Jack Reacher. I guess.
This brings us to the last big film that we're going to talk about, and that's all you guys. I haven't had a chance to see this. We've talked about it a ton on this podcast.
Yeah, there's been a lot of anticipation.
And now we finally get to
bunch of
hear what the
reasons.
two of you think, and that is
Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained.
Is the D silent?
The D is silent.
Okay. So it's Unchained?
Unchained.
Django Unchained.
The Django Unchained.
Yeah.
I like that. So this is his latest offering. 3-hour offering, by the way.
What?
2 hours 45 minutes, right? It's like not right at the 3-hour mark.
All these big movies in the winter, like they're all. It's like a pre. You have to have a 2 hour and 30-minute running time at least. It seems
Have to.
to be taken seriously, of course.
I like double albums. I like bonus material. I sometimes feel like these run times, the only reason it seems to me like they're getting out of hand, because it's not about attention span for me. It's just that I think that a lot of these movies, you can sense the editorial decision to let's leave it in. Now, Tarantino has always had movies that have like an interesting kind of form to them, you know, and his movies could be argued to seem kind of long, primarily because they don't always follow the typical 3-act structure.
Right.
Django Unchained almost seemed to me like it had a movie and then a movie. Like the first half is a certain kind of buddy comedy, and then the real revenge kind of blaxploitation film that kicks in the second half is, you know, they're both really effective in different ways.
Yeah.
Having, you know, being old and going to a midnight screening to see a 3-hour movie, I don't know if it was the best possible filter for
Not
the
the
movie
smartest thing
itself.
you've ever decided to do.
But it was, you know, I didn't fall asleep. It's hard to find fault with a movie that has so many fantastic scenes, fantastic performances. You know, sadly, Quentin Tarantino does see fit to act in this one too.
Why
and it
the
is
fuck?
literally the worst thing in the movie. Is his cameo.
It's, man, if it weren't for the fact that he created this great movie,
I want to say great. I might have to see it again.
I want to use a word, and I'm gonna wait until we talk about it some more before I.
Wow.
So there's
Is this a word like you just created on your own, or added to the Webster?
So one thing I was afraid of, especially as a African American, as a black person, as a AFAM, I shortened it African American. I was really afraid that
Wait. You're Black Ronald.
He was like, what?
Apparently.
Cut the podcast.
Yeah.
Can't have that.
I was really afraid that the subject matter would get in the way of the story. And something you have to know before you go into this movie, no matter what you hear, this is a spaghetti western that just so happens to take place during this time. It is not a movie about slavery necessarily.
Right.
You know
It's
what I
not
mean?
really
Like,
a movie about race relations.
Right.
It uses slavery the way that Inglourious Bastards used the Holocaust.
Right.
Just as a way. I mean, and again, this might be a complaint. I would say that there's a philosophical sort of debate to be had about whether Tarantino has the right to kind of use this material as the fodder for.
Is he being responsible enough with the subject
by using it as, like you said, for thrills, kind of for kicks. But what it does is it sets up this moral scale where there are certain people who you are dying to see punished.
Yeah,
and in that sense, the movie gratifies. But I do think that. I think there's two things to say about that. One is that at some point it kind of curdles. At some point you start to feel like maybe you're just as bad. Like there's a scene in the movie where these creeps are basically watching these two slaves beat each other to death for sport. Yeah. At some point, you feel a little bit like you're becoming one of those guys because you're watching just this violence, you know. However, the other side of that would be Tarantino is well aware of that. You know what I mean? So it's like he knows that I think it's designed to sort of sicken you at the same time as you're pumping your fist.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like instead of it being this moral, I mean, like the whole morality behind slavery creates the barriers for the characters. Like they have to function within these parameters. They can't just go and do what they have to do. They have to function as these characters. So one of the biggest things in the story that they kind of explain in the trailer is that although Django is a free man, in these towns that they go to as bounty hunters, they have to pose as these characters. And one of the decisions that they make very early is they have to be these characters no matter what. You can't break character. This is very important if you want to get what you want to get. Mm-hmm. It's ruthless. It's weird. And that's one of the things that happens. This movie goes from deadly serious to very funny very quickly. And that dance is what makes this movie one of the best movies I've seen this year. It's that dance between the serious and the morally corrupt and it's supposed to make you uncomfortable. And I think what you're saying is that in the midst of feeling uncomfortable, there's some comic scenes that are great. There's some, I mean, case in point would be DiCaprio's villain character. This speech at the end. Detestable
character, but you can't take your eyes off of him. And it's like you can see, I don't know. I always, particularly when you have to play something as ugly as this kind of institutionalized racism that's depicted in this movie, to see that the actors kind of throw themselves into it. Mm-hmm. You didn't sense any side of DiCaprio holding back or trying to be like, come on, everybody knows I'm really a nice guy. He was playing this to the hilt. And, an interesting character. He's not, I mean, he is a mustache twirling villain, but there's a little hint of like, the guy has this intellectual curiosity. I mean, he has this intellectual insecurity about wanting people to think that he's really cultured.
Yeah, and he isn't.
And he's not. Really I thought that was a great angle because it gave everything his character did was motivated towards trying to appear smart. But when you realize that kind of everyone around him is aware that he's trying to appear smart and they're all kind of walking on eggshells, it added this great energy. You never pitied this man, but at least I did see him as a sort of a plausible. Like he's a sadist, but you can kind of believe this man that this is a person and not just a cartoon.
Yeah, there's a couple. I think that's the social commentary. There's a couple of things like the idea that like superiority is a big focus of this, and the fact that the people that claim superiority weren't always necessarily the most sharp people in the world. It was just the position they were in. Mm-hmm. They were granted this power by whatever means, like family or whatever, just being born the way you were born is interesting. And then there was a big issue. I don't want to give away one of the things, but one of the bigger issues as they were kind of functioning in this world was something that the townspeople noticed every time he would go into a town. They could not handle the fact that Jamie Foxx was doing something that Black people normally don't do. And it's the simplest thing, but it's very, very telling of the time. The fact that can we say what the fact that he was riding around on a horse killed them. Like it literally almost made people faint. They're like, I cannot believe he's on the horse. I can't handle this.
Like this afternoon, stopped. I saw Bigfoot. The other day, I saw the Loch Ness monster. That didn't shock me.
But I saw a Negro. I saw a Negro on the bus, and it bothered me.
Yeah, but they didn't say Negro in this
film. They did not.
But yeah, I thought that part of it was interesting because that's a great example, Ronald, because you were able to both think about the historical shock of that and just think about what that means. I mean, like, think about what a different world we live in now.
Yeah.
But also it was played for laughs. Like it became a joke. Yeah. Like just the line, the verbiage. There's particularly a scene where Samuel L. Jackson's character has a whole conversation about whether he should be on a horse and all. Yeah. It's like, it was funny as hell, but it was funny in this way that, like, right beneath it's like a very brittle kind of, as the laughs are building up, the character of Django is kind of silent. Yeah. And it's almost like it leads up to, what everyone knows this plot of this movie is going to involve some kind of retribution or some kind of revenge or some kind of attempt there. But I thought that a lot of that stuff that you're talking about that just makes you realize, like, oh my God, these people have never seen a black person ride a horse before because they don't think they're supposed to be able to. Yeah. Like that, you start to feel so oily and greasy and bad just kind of watching this world that you're ready to see it burned down at the end of the movie.
I mean, that's a crazy thing. Like, I guess you think about it, well, mostly because honestly, in my life, I've had weird things where, like, people have questioned things that don't really, to me, are very, like, trivial things, questioned because I look a certain way. So, like, it's layered. It's a very layered thing. It's the reassure groups of people that people are still like this, and also to show people, like, some of this behavior is still practiced in a way, like in a weird way. So that stuff, and then the violence. I guess we should talk about the violence in it. Was the violence too much?
I think it was exactly as gory as it was intended to be. Yeah. The violence was over the top. I mean, I think that was one thing that you can say without a doubt, that it was not intending to kind of realistically depict the violence. But one thing I really liked was I didn't see a sign of there was no CGI assisted blood splatter. It was squibs, and it was sacks of meat getting blown open. And there's one part in particular where a horse gets shot, and it's a really quick shot.
It looked real.
It looked really gory.
Yeah. It looked real, and it looked very gory.
And I mean, I think that kind of violence, it's impossible for me not to have a complicated response to this movie, because there was violence that was cool because it was being visited on really nasty people. But you see that 5-6 times, that you keep revisiting that idea of seeing this kind of payback, and it's this gory payback. At some point, the revenge, you start to see that revenge is kind of an ugly thing too. I think the one thing that saves the movie from seeming like it was getting too dark was the fact that the love story, which is really, I mean, to call it a love story is kind of an exaggeration, because Kerry Washington's character, the character of Django's wife, Broomhilda, who they're kind of trying to rescue as the movie, that becomes the main thrust of the plot. Like, she's not much of a character.
She has maybe 10 lines.
She's basically kind of a damsel in distress, which I don't have anything wrong with the notion of someone being in a position where they need to be saved. But I think it is surprising in a modern movie to see a female character where they don't write in some attempt to sort of show her gaining power over her situation. Right. But if you take away that sort of qualification, I thought the romance between these two characters was actually really sweet. Yeah. And the way it was handled was really sweet. And it maybe took a little bit of the sting away from some of that, the gory revenge, because at the heart of it is a man trying to get his woman back. And I think that was universal. It did have, like Ronald said, it is important that we've got the backdrop of slavery, but the real thrust of the story is not about, it's not Lincoln. It's not about let's free the slaves. It's about, I want to free this one person, save this one person.
Yeah. I think it's a couple of things. I think it's really cool that Quentin Tarantino created this movie. Because you have to understand culturally how damning all of that stuff was. And some people forget. Some people don't know. Don't understand. And this movie creates some dialogue. And I think that's enough. You don't have to be preachy. having a movie that takes place during this time is enough to create enough dialogue about what it is. And I love that Christoph Waltz was so good in this movie. I love the scene where like they first meet each other and they're in like the bar, like when they first start talking, and he's like, I don't believe in slavery, but I kind of like that it puts us in this position for you to help me.
Yeah,
which is a really messed up thing to say.
Well, that character's morality is all I was going to say is all over the place. It's not that it's all over the place. It's just that his morality is very situational. Like he clearly was disgusted with slavery.
Yeah.
But in this moment, it meant I have a reason to at least require you to sit down and hear me out right now. Yeah, and that's the way I want to play this.
That's pretty cool.
I thought it was because it's not like they didn't create this moralistic. He's not this character who's obsessed with freeing other people. I mean, he was a bounty hunter. I mean, Christoph Waltz is played as kind of a character with a moral center, but what he's doing, I mean, it's very clear in the movie that he would much rather kill someone than bring them in alive.
Yeah.
And that if he could make $1, he doesn't care who the person is. So it's like he's not a person who you're supposed to admire as like this paragon of moral purity.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of interesting that just you take it, he's European and he's disgusted with this practice of slavery. He seems to be able to see how barbaric slavery is.
Yeah. That scene where he's talking to him in a bar and what follows is equal to or greater than the scene in Inglourious Basterds, which is, to me, one of the best dialogue. You don't like that first scene?
Oh, I love that scene. I'm questioning whether it could actually rival that scene.
It's pretty great. It's pretty great. Because it sets the tone.
What scene is this?
So there's a scene
in Django.
In Django, after he, that scene you've seen a million times when he frees him.
Yeah.
When he shoots the guy down, but there's a scene after that where they go to the first town where you see how they operate.
Okay.
They sit in a bar and have a conversation where he offers him his freedom, and the offer, and all that stuff. But it's pretty great. Like, it's pretty great seeing that dialogue and then everything that's happening on the outside. And him dealing with it in a way that just doesn't seem normal. Like, he's like, why the fuck? Why are you so calm about this? And it's so... You get to understand who he is as a person. And then their friendship gets pretty amazing after a while. Like it gets like... It goes from like just a proposition where he's a part in his plan.
Right.
To something else where he becomes like an integral part in how this guy survives.
Well, I mean, it goes from Schultz, the Christoph Waltz character, kind of needing Django for something, but all from the beginning, there's a little bit of mutual respect there. He's basically saying, "I'm gonna ask you to do this thing for me, and I would love it if you want to do it." It's kind of what he says to him, like I'm kind of expecting you to do this thing, but it seems like I could get you on my side, so hear me out. And then he goes from Django helping him to Django kind of becoming his partner, to him deciding to help Django. And I think that's really when the plot line that, I mean, as far as getting to Candyland, which is Leonardo DiCaprio's character's plantation. Right. That whole scenario, that's like halfway into the movie. So you've had this whole other chance to watch those two characters kind of relate and become, and it's not really an exaggeration to call it a buddy movie. I mean, it really is like, you get to see them. You almost want to see more of that. Like, I almost want to see more of them just being bounty hunters and going around and kicking ass in the Old West.
Seeing the reasons why seeing the reasons why they connect also is pretty cool as it develops. It's not just like,
and since it's Tarantino, it's all set to a Jim Croce song as they ride out of town.
It's Don Johnson.
Yeah.
Also Big Daddy. And man, every character in it was like incredible. I would go so far as to say that this is
this the word?
It is. Is this the word? It is a masterpiece.
Oh, that's the word.
It is a masterpiece. It's better than Inglourious Basterds.
John?
I couldn't call it a masterpiece because I mean, it's almost like before I could say masterpiece, I'd have to see it again. But it's like, and also as a sort of great appreciator of Quentin Tarantino, I have not found anything that he's made since, say, Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction to quite eclipse those two movies overall for me. I mean,
Pulp
it's like,
Fiction is incredible.
I mean, and certain things about those movies have aged, but I mean, it's like I love Jackie Brown. I liked a
you don't
lot.
like Kill Bill? I think Kill Bill is like.
I love Jackie Brown. I love parts of Kill Bill. Like I liked part 2 more than part 1.
Yeah, me too.
And I think if I ever saw the two of them together in the the edit that was supposed to, I might have liked that.
Right.
And then I thought that Inglourious Basterds was like a kind of a return to form by that standard, because I also thought Death Proof was kind of a mess. So in that sense, I was like, this movie to me, it does not really fall from the heights of Inglourious Basterds for me at all. I mean, I think that if anything, this movie is damaged a little bit by the fact that it follows the same sort of. It's almost like you can see it as, it's another attempt at the very similar thing that Inglourious Basterds did, except this time with slavery instead of Nazis.
Yeah.
But I think that's really the only problem based on that. And the other thing is, it's interesting to see Christoph Waltz play yet another character who kind of talks his way through every situation, but in a totally different way. This character's equally fun to watch as his character in Inglourious Basterds, but for totally different reasons. So yeah, it's tough to say. I don't think I could figure out my overall rating for this, except to say that it's an interesting movie that is really interesting to talk about. And I know I'm going to see it again.
Same.
And I think that I like it the more I think about it. But I also, the problems I had with certain things, like they sort of stick around too. But I mean, I don't think Tarantino makes a blaxploitation revenge film about slavery and doesn't expect it to start conversations. You know what I mean? I think that like the whole, I don't think you're supposed to just think this movie was a lot of fun or just think it was thought provoking. I think it's supposed to be kind of all those things at once. And in that sense, like I said, it's impossible to have a simple response.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the movie does seem to try to make it a really simple matter of just, hey, doesn't it make you feel better to watch these guys
get destroyed?
But at the same time, it does make you feel a little bit better to watch those guys get destroyed. So it's like, you see what I'm saying though about how it kind of has it both ways. It's both providing you like a really simple something to kind of satisfy your bloodlust, but it's also leaving you with these thornier, more complicated thoughts. And I think that particularly with characters like Samuel L. Jackson's character, the notion that the sort of Uncle Tom character is more detestable than the white guy that he works for.
Yeah, because he
is a really interesting notion to me. You know,
he's the backbone of his ideas too.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's reinforced. It's so weird. Like he's like the embodiment of all those ideas because he reinforces them. Because there are times when he's like,
I mean, he really plays a
Mr.
role.
Candy's like super duper lenient about something, and then he's like, well.
Yeah.
Well, why would you let them do that?
Yeah.
And then he like kind of. What's really cool too is like it's a layer.
I mean, let's face it, that is a character that sticks with you. Like that.
Yeah, it's a layered.
You almost feel sorry for that guy.
He's awful.
You know what I mean?
He's awful.
Do you know what I mean about
yeah,
you?
Yeah.
Almost, like you know that he has found Stephen, the Samuel L. Jackson character, has found a way of coping with this situation he's in. He's found a way to cling to this little modicum of power. It's by being next to the guy that he gets all his power from, and so. Yeah. And the fact that he's like he's worked on this plantation for what, 76 years? Does he say at some point in there? He's part of this. He's a product of this awful, awful system that has destroyed his humanity, and yet he's found a way to kind of cling to a certain level of comfort and power. I just find that. I mean, that's so interesting, and the fact that you end up in the movie seeing him as kind of like as far as Django is concerned, especially a much more despicable figure than the guy who's just sleaze from, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the big moment in the movie is not what happens to Leonardo DiCaprio. It's what happens to Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah. And it's also who's visiting out which punishment too. I think it's crucial to notice that. It's
pretty interesting. There's a scene where like, one thing that's really cool is you realize that their relationship has two layers. There's the public one, which is still, Mr. Candy being in charge. But there's a scene, the scene where they go in the back, they're physically on the same level talking to each other. So it changes. The dynamic is very different.
And in that moment, you get the sense that Steven is actually smarter than Candy.
Significantly.
Because he's able to kind of use Candy's insecurity about people thinking he's not that smart. Yeah. He's able to, you know what I mean? He plants the seed that he's being played for a full, I don't know. All that was really, that stuff was so, it's so exciting just to kind of talk about that. I was like, any thought that, like the fact that I can't easily categorize my feelings about this movie has more to do with everything it gives you and everything it gives you to think about,
it's
and
heavy.
almost nothing to do with like the few little technical problems I had with it. Like, I mean, specifically Quentin Tarantino's acting in that one. So even if he was a no-name actor, you would have said, who was that one guy that couldn't act in this movie full of people that can act?
This is the thing, like his Australian accent was so bad in comparison to
why did he give himself an accent on top of being him?
I would have rather him have a deep South.
Yeah.
He could have done that. But this Australian accent that he had was unbearable. And maybe that's why he had he cut himself out of it, most of it. It was just very like, ugh.
Well, I mean, I think he knows what he's doing at that point. Like, there was an audience reaction when they saw that it was him. Like, people know who Quentin Tarantino is, and I think in terms of a director, that right there says a lot about him. That he is a famous director. That doesn't always happen. Like, I mean, there's Steven Spielberg and Martin Scorsese, but in terms of most directors of the last 20 years, they don't have a name recognition the way he does. Yeah. The one thing about Tarantino that I think is kind of frustrating sometimes is that because everything is a reference to something. Anytime I see something where I'm like, I don't like that font. Why did he choose that font? I feel like I can't criticize it because someone's going to tell me, oh, that's the font they used on Blood in the Dust from 1972 that had this moment in it. But sometimes I do wonder if the constant kind of referring and stuff, does that hurt the movie? Does that make it less original? Or do you know what I mean? Like, do you ever feel like it's a weird thing to like these movies, but not to have watched all the Grindhouse films that he may be lifting characters and lines and everything from?
It's like there's an article about Kill Bill, and there's the list is like 100. No, I'm sorry, like 250 references to other things. How the fuck could you have known all that stuff? Like, it references. That's probably over 100 things that he references in this movie that we probably have no idea about, that he has in his head. He's like, this is really cool that I'm putting this in there. But for what it was, man, I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm hypersensitive about, like, I thought they would use the N-word too much, and they used it a lot, but it still wasn't. It
would seem almost disingenuous not to have these characters using the word they would have used. You know,
this is the time where they would have used it excessively.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you notice that Leonardo DiCaprio broke that glass with his hand?
Mm-hmm.
I never noticed. I didn't realize that until I left the movie there. I was like, he crushed that thing with his. He just smashed it.
Well, supposedly they kept shooting after he cut his hand, and they just kept it in.
I've never seen anything like that before.
But I mean, like, for instance, that dinner table scene, you could argue that went on a little too long. You could also argue that what made it cool was that it went on for so long. And I think it's full of little touches like that, where it's like, I think this movie works a kind of magic on you on a scene-by-scene basis. If you add it all up, I'll say what I've said about every movie I've seen lately, which is I don't know that it couldn't have lost 20 minutes and not have been. But it's like, what would you cut?
I think it was one of those things like, I think Quentin Tarantino is an interesting person. That line is essentially, that whole scene was essentially what I think he thinks that people think about black people.
Mm-hmm.
That whole, like, this theme, like this inferiority. And this is why I believe this.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's so weird.
Phrenology was taken seriously for a long time, as far as like people thinking you could tell from the shape of someone's skull whether they were going to be a criminal or not. You know,
it's very weird stuff.
I before we leave the topic, I do think the movie, one thing it did that was kind of interesting was the way that it really approaches that idea of the quote unquote Southern gentleman and like what's behind that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not to say there was never a genteel Southern gentleman who actually was a gentleman, but the notion that they show it in the movie to be this civil mask on just these totally reprehensible people, like a man who says, you know, a Southerner always shakes his hand when he makes a deal. It's like, that seems like a gentlemanly thing, but when you look at everything else this guy's into, it's impossible to find anything he does, you know, civilized. So in that sense, I thought it was really interesting that like DiCaprio's character and to a lesser extent, Don Johnson's character are just the takedown of this idea of the, you know, the nice plantation owner, that kind of idea that, that there was any room for humanity in those creeps. So yeah, it was, I mean, maybe a double feature, maybe Lincoln and this.
Right.
And you'll come out perfectly balanced.
Right. I thought it was great. I want to see it again.
Yeah. Steve, I recommend that you see it.
Yeah.
I plan to see it.
Cool. So
You may not have had this movie on your radar at all.
I've never heard of it.
I know a lot of film fans aren't
I never
aren't interested.
I didn't even
but-
know he had a new movie out.
Right,
It's
right.
weird.
But I bet Steve was
Tank.
thinking, 20 minutes could be cut out of this podcast. I'm not sure that this podcast wouldn't flow a little better. I don't know where you would cut them out, but sure.
Yeah.
No. Obviously, it's a conversation starter, so.
Yeah.
see the movie. That's
We
all.
didn't
Were you
even get-
texting it to somebody? See the movie?
See the movie. I actually was texting a person that went with me last night.
We didn't even get to the threatened castration.
Oh man, grabbing dicks and cutting off dicks. Why? Why you ain't gonna threaten people with dick cutting off? And that was
They're so articulate, Ronald.
It's probably because of
Dick cutting off.
It's probably
Why?
because of the awkwardness of the phrase "dick cutting often" that someone came up with the word castration.
right.
Easier to say.
Dick cutting off.
It sounds
Why we
nicer.
call it something else? Said dick cutting off.
The proprietors of this entertainment wish for you to know that they are well aware that castration is defined as removing a man's testes from his body and not his penis or tallywhacker. The removal of the tallywhacker or ding-dong is still known by the age-old nomenclature, dick cutting offin. I now return you to this episode of Movie Schmovie, an episode which I do fear has already begun to scamper away from us.
Oh man, I think I had some cheese today.
You don't remember?
Fucking with my stomach.
Somebody just like
So you don't remember if you had cheese, but also is that how you explain all behavior? Oh man,
that's got to be
this
the cheese.
gassiness is just making
Somehow
me
I ingested it.
a ridiculous person. So yeah, this is. I think that's it, right? Episode 56. Is that what?
that's how we end them.
This is
I
abruptly.
like how you tied it up right there. So gentle and delicate and
Right.
cared for the ending so much. So yeah, Les Mis, I'd skip it. Maybe if you're a big musical fan, go see it. I mean, it's a movie that you're going to probably hear about for the next couple months because of all the awards that are. It may get nominated for. It's been nominated for a handful of Golden Globes already. But I don't know. It wasn't really my cup of tea.
So that was the theme of this episode. Skip it.
Skip
Les Mis,
it.
Rent it.
Rent it.
Jack Reacher.
Jack Reacher.
See it.
See it.
Yeah, I think you should
Django.
change in the movies. That
Django
crowd.
Unchained.
Yeah. The Django.
I'm gonna not say anything and see how long it goes without like awkward silence if I don't fill it with something.
Oh goodness. Yes. So that's our
Where can people find us, Ronald?
movieschmovie.net. Twitter.com.
I'm leaving these breadcrumbs for you just right towards the end of this episode.
Facebook.com/movieschmovie. You can Twitter us. You can Google us. But bitch, don't forget about us. Mixcloud also. Please don't forget about us on Mixcloud. Subscribe to us on iTunes. And that's it, right?
Sounds good to me.
Those are all the networks. Pinterest also.
Pinterest.
Pinterest. Mm-hmm.
While you're there, you could find a nice chocolate chip cookie recipe.
You could.
Paint your walls with a nice vertical stripe. Who knows?
And a random picture of Rihanna. So
Yeah, so hit us up on the social networks. This has been the Movie Schmovie Podcast, episode 56. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, you've made our day.
bye.
Is that really? That's really how we're. That just feels wrong.
Yeah.
I got nothing.